kick off the new decade, my team and I would just love to do a quick overview of the 70s.
Before starting the next decade, let's take some time to recall the important events that happened. For starters, the Olympic Games held in Germany in 1972. It was the first Olympic Games held in Germany since the Nazis hosted the Games in 1936. For the first 8 days, the Olympic Games went smoothly. A little after 4 p.m. on September 5th, a terrorist attack called the Black Septembers jumped over the fence and that encircled the Olympic Village. The terrorists headed straight for the team's buildings. Around 4:30 a.m., the terrorists entered the building. 9 hostages were taken at the time. By 5:10 a.m., the police were alerted, and the news were talking of the attack. The prisoners wanted 234 prisoners released from the Israel prison and 2 released from Germany prison. By 9 a.m., the police were able to arrange for a new delay in the deadline. At 5 p.m., the terrorists realized that they were not going to get what they demanded, so they demanded access to the airport. By around 10:30 p.m., the terrorists and the hostage were transported to the airport by helicopter. The Germans decided to ambush the terrorists. In this act, when they started firing, 2 terrorists and 1 police officer was killed. And then a stalemate developed. The Germans requested armored cars, waiting for over an hour for them to arrive. One of the terrorists jumped onto a helicopter, shooting 4 the people held hostage, and then threw a grenade. Another terrorist hopped onto another airport using his machine gun to kill the remaining 5 hostages. The police officers were able to kill 3 more terrorists during the second round of gunfire. Only 3 people survived.
And of course, we will all remember the scandal that led to the resignation of Richard Nixon. On June 17, 1972, 5 burglars broke into the headquarters of Democratic National Committee in the complex of Washington, D.C., called Watergate. They bugged phones in the offices to get information on the Democratic election campaign. All 5 burglars, Bernard Barker, Virgilio Gonzalez, Eugenio Martinez, Frank Sturgis, and James W. McCord were arrested. James W. McCord, which happened, was in charge of the committee to re-elect Richard Nixon. On August 1st, the FBI found a $2,500 check marked for Nixon's campaign, found on the burglar. This created a link to Nixon that erupted the scandal. On September 29, 1972, the FBI made a massive campaign for the political spying and sabotage by Nixon re-election effort. Alexander Butterfield, deputy assistant to Nixon, told Senate investigators about taping systems in the White House. Congress then pressured Nixon to give up the tapes, but Nixon's administration denied its assistance. Then Richard Burke, Attorney General, sued Nixon, so the U.S. Supreme Court ordered Nixon to provide tapes. But once they got the tapes, a large amount of evidence was erased. Finally, on July 27, 1974, the House Judiciary Committee passed the first of 3 articles of impeachment. But before they finished, Richard Nixon resigned on August 8, 1974, becoming the first president to resign from office.
One of the biggest technological achievements of the 70s was the creation of Apple Inc. It started in the early 70s with three friends, Steve Jobs, Steve Wozzoka, and Ronald Wayne, all college dropouts who were viewed as outcasts. Wozzoka was a computer designer who created what would later be known as Apple I. With Jobs and Wayne's help, the computer was debuted and sold. Then, on April 1st, 1976, the three of them came together in a garage and Apple Inc. was born. The first product was the Apple I, a do-it-yourself computer kit. They were sold for $666. It was the best personal computer on the market. It was popular because it came with a plastic case and had color graphics. The company did not really take off until '77 with the Apple II, when it was debuted at a local computer trade show. Soon the Apple II was selling for $1,298 and was being designed for mass market. The company's sales increased with the Apple Disk II in '78. It was the most inexpensive, easy-to-use floppy drive of its time. The external disk stored 110K on a 5.25-inch floppy disk and was only $495. Unfortunately for Wayne, he sold his share of the company for only $800 3 months after the company's start for fear of bankruptcy. We've been told Apple has a future in electronics.
The 3 Mile Island incident happened on March 28, 1979 at 4 a.m. in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The power station had 2 pressurized water reactors. Reactor number 2 is the one that had the incident. The reactor was operating at 97% power when something in the second cooling system circuit caused a minor malfunction. This caused the temperature in the primary coolant to rise, which in turn caused the reactor to shut down, which took roughly a second. Because the shutdown was sudden and unplanned, the operators were unable to react or respond correctly. Within seconds, the pilot-operated relief valve opened. Then, after 10 seconds, refused to close again, leaking vital coolant into the coolant drainage tank. After a couple minutes, steam began to form, and that caused the reactor to vibrate. In turn, the operators had to shut it down and end the cooling process. When the reactor's core was uncovered, a chemical reaction between water and the zircaloy metal tubes holding the nuclear fuel pellets had created hydrogen gas. After a month, the reactor was cooled down by the natural movement of water rather than mechanical pumping. There were no injuries or health effects related to this. Some radioactive gases were released a couple of days after the accident, but not enough to cause any dose above background levels to local residents.
On November 4th, 1979, Iran launched this country into a dark time of terror and pain that has united us. With the Shah of Iran in the U.S. for cancer treatment, Khomeini saw his chance to take over. A group of Iranian students charged the U.S. Embassy and took 60 people hostage. At first, it was unclear why they did this until the Iranians requested the return of the Shah for trials for crimes against the Iranians, as well as the billions of dollars he had allegedly stolen from the people. President Carter made it a personal responsibility to free those hostages. On November 11th, Carter initiated an oil embargo with Iran. In response, Khomeini announced he'd release any female, African-American, and non-U.S. citizen because they were already oppressed enough in the American society on the 17th. However, 53 Americans remained hostages. This included 1 African-American and 2 women. Carter has decided that military action is too risky and too strong of action could result in killing of the hostages. Instead, he has chosen to go the route of economic pressure by freezing all Iranian assets within the U.S. With these negotiations failing, Americans are demanding stronger actions. Any updates on this crisis will be immediately brought to your attention.
Hey, did you guys see the new movie that came out called Star Wars?
Is that the one with the yellow sticks?
They're called lightsabers.
Oh, I thought it was lightsabers.
You mean like the candy?
Yeah.
Whatever, we see it anyway.
Han was so hot.
Oh my gosh. Did you guys know that when it was first released on May 25th, 1977, it made $1,554,475 the opening weekend?
I heard they used real military weapons from the UK.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
Didn't that guy who played the old guy hate doing it?
Oh yeah, Alec Guinness. He played Ben Kenobi.
Wait, what happened?
Oh yeah, I heard about this. He hated it because of bad dialogue hear George Lucas kill them off.
I thought George Lucas said that he planned all along and that Alec had fun.
We need to discuss Darth Vader.
Wait, why would we do that?
Because